Good morning, folks. It's the Mr. Sisler here. I got a few minutes this morning. Blocked out some time just because I need to take a break. I was on the phone yesterday from 10 in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon, like with no breaks, pretty much. You know, when you're in the people business, you're never out of that business because people, they're people. And I'm one of those people. So we all have our challenges, right? But I want to talk to you about self-esteem again, because I had an individual, a female, yesterday. I mean, has a really good job, great person to talk with, but we got some challenges here, and I'm going to bring up her HVP. So the HVP is the Hartman Value Profile. And so bringing up the HVP here, I know you're looking at this and you just don't know what it is, and that's fine. You don't need to. But I want you to look for the shortest bar on this graph. And I think you've probably located it. And underneath it, it says self-care. So basically, that's an attention measurement. And then above that, you see self-care. That's a clarity measurement. So when this individual looks at herself, and when you look at yourself, the way you do that is you perceive yourself. This is an intrinsic evaluation. So remember, intrinsic value is a singular value. It's what's Hartman called a singularity. And what that means is you can't compare human beings against anything other than itself. Again, and I'm repeating myself, you don't decide, do I get rid of the baby or I get rid of the car? That's sociopathic. So you have to realize that human value doesn't scale. It doesn't scale. You can't say, well, I used to have an MBA and now I have a PhD, so my human value is greater than it was 5 years ago. That's not true. Your human value hasn't scaled since your first breath. What scales is your knowledge bank. That can scale. I took a few classes and now I know more about this particular subject. So in that respect, I know more. So what does that mean? It means I'm more informed than I was yesterday. So I have more information now. Is that helpful? Sure it is. Does that mean I'm a better person? No, it doesn't mean that. It has nothing to do with you being good or bad. It has everything to do with what you know. So you can be better at a job because you know more about whatever it is you're working on. But that doesn't make you a better person. It makes your capacity for doing something more valuable to the organization. But as a human being, you're not scaling in that situation. We don't scale our own personal worth. You can't scale it. I hope I'm loud and clear on that. You cannot scale your human worth. You can only scale abilities, ideas, what you know, how you think. These things are scalable. I wasn't thinking and now I am thinking, and therefore I'm paying more attention to fill in the blank, and now my product is better. But as a human being, you don't scale in intrinsic value. It doesn't happen. Now, here's what happens. The problem is when you have people who have okay, fair, or limited clarity when it comes to perceiving their own value. In other words, I know I've got value. I'm a human. I get that. So I have some mental assent that agrees with the idea that you just don't go around killing folks. They're worth something. I get that, right? So most of us, 96% of the country has that. 4% don't. They could kill you and go have coffee, okay? So the rest of us, we understand, sure, we have value. We get that. So when you look at your value, what do you see? Are you seeing, when you look at your value, when you look at yourself, what are you paying attention to? Are you paying attention to the positives, the benefits? Are you paying attention to how you feel about yourself today? In a good way? It's good to get up. It's Monday. Hey, I got a full week of work. I'm going to get paid. I can put food on the table. I feel good about who I am in the world. Are you looking at those things? Or are you looking at what's missing, what you believe is missing in you, what you believe is not present in you, what you believe, quote, needs work in you? What are you paying attention to? Now, the people that pay too much attention to what's missing in themselves have what's known as a negative bias, or they have what's known as negative attention. And what that means is they're paying more attention to the underdeveloped parts of themselves and less attention to the developed parts of themselves. So whenever they think about themselves, they feel underdeveloped because that's all they pay attention to. Now, this particular person, I asked this person, how many marriages have you been through? Well, she's in the middle of exiting the second one, and she's not old. Well, what's that? I told her right away, I know what your problem is. Because I looked at the behavior, I looked at the motivations, I looked at her axiological scores. And the one thing that stands out is that she as a person is incomplete. She's an incomplete person intrinsically, and you can see this right here on the graph. There's an incompleteness. It's that whole notion. I don't know if you ever grew up in the church like I did, but there was this bumper sticker craze. I remember years ago. I was really young, but there was a bumper sticker that went out there that was basically saying, "God's not through with me yet." Another one was under construction, or not perfect, just forgiven, right? So it's easy to do that in that philosophy, because as soon as you get in that philosophy, you're told that you basically aren't worth anything without God's favor. And so everybody's scrambling to get it. That's just human nature. So good or bad? Well, there's a lot of good things that come from that screwed up philosophy. So I'm not going to say get rid of it. But I'm telling you what's going on. We're all trying to be better people in the world. We don't accept ourselves as is. And anybody who tries to do that within that philosophical framework, is going to get in trouble on some level. And so that being said, when we see our flaws over the valuable points, the good points, I'm faithful. I work really hard to include people when I'm with other people. Okay, these are qualities. These are called cardinal traits. And so we all have them. But then there are some people that, I didn't do a good enough job of including them. Yes, I did include them, but I didn't include them enough, right? So we fall into this. A lot of people, how many people fall into this? 84% of human beings in America, at least, have low self-esteem. In other words, when they look inward at who they are in the world, in their own personal intrinsic value and their placement in society, they're only seeing what's wrong with it, not what's right. Okay, so that's a fact. We have the data to prove it. And so, here's what's happening with me. I'm talking so fast that I'm getting ahead of my thoughts, and then I'll be in the middle of a sentence, and I don't know where I am. So bear with me, okay? Let me slow down. Oh my gosh. Crazy. All right, let me slow down. So here's what I want to say. This person, when they are and were meeting partners, men, okay? I don't know if it's at a bar. I don't know where it is. But when this female is meeting men, she's looking for these people to complete her. So she's thinking about what's missing, and she's using men to fill in the gaps. Okay? Do we all have gaps? Sure we do. All right? Welcome to Earth. But what she's doing is she's imagining, actually more than anything based on her profile, she's got strong imagination. So she's imagining these people filling the voids that she's paying excessive attention to inside of her life, inside of her being, inside of her person. Now, here's what you don't do, ever. Never seek a relationship out of need. Never. You'll see that in my Neverland series on my YouTube channel. Never seek a relationship with another person, especially a marriage partner, out of need. It's known as a need-oriented relationship. Need-oriented relationships are black holes. And once you cross the event horizon, which is usually the marriage altar, you're not getting out. It's hard to get out. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. It's hard to get out. It's not easy. Okay? And so, need-oriented relationships are bad. They're bad. Okay? They're bad. They're not good. They're bad. When you enter a relationship with somebody, you need to be very happy with who you are as you are, where you are in regards to work, financial ability, as far as making money, talent, whatever it is. You need to be very, very comfortable where you are currently. Okay? Currently. You don't get a partner so you can hold hands and they can get you where you believe you need to be. That's bad. Okay? Here's how you enter a relationship. You enter a relationship by saying, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I look like. This is me in all my glory. Are you interested in this? As is. Do you want to buy this car as is? Okay? What people do is they put on crappy paint jobs. They rig it, to make the car look more desirable. And then once we start driving it 3 or 4 years in, it falls apart. All the the chrome, the terrible Acme paint job, right? The Walmart upholstery, like it all starts coming off. What you need to do is say, this is the way I am. This is who I am. This is how I do things. This is how I think. This is what I believe. Take it or leave it. This is what it is. And I doubt it's going to change. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. But this is it. If you enter a relationship like that, the odds of survival are exponentially heightened. Okay? Yeah, too often we don't get there until later. Thank you, Stuart. That's true. When we feel safe, when we feel like maybe, I'll get away with it, or whatever the case may be. And there are many other variables that can play into that, but that's what happens. Okay? Now, you say to the partner, this is who I am, this is how I think, this is what I believe, this is where I plan to go, this is me, okay? Like the show, this is us, right? This is who I am, and I'm very proud of me, and I almost choked. I love me. I love me. I'm happy with me, okay? Now, who does this? Well, not a whole lot of people. Okay, not a whole lot of people. I mean, we have a lot of, what we could call flaws, weaknesses, things like this. We all have that, okay? But are we paying attention to them? How much attention are we placing on the flaws, and how much attention are we placing on non-flaws? All right? That's the way this is. So, when you bring somebody into a relationship like that, you're saying, this is who I am, this is what I believe, this is what I look like without any clothes on, this is me. And you say, would you like to come along on the journey with me? Just like this. Is that something you're up for? Are you comfortable with that? Do you want to bring me places? Do you want to bring me to public places? And can you be happy with me in a public place? Does this mean you have to be some kind of a perfect example of being able to do all this? No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean you're not thinking about your flaws. It doesn't mean you don't recognize that you might have some of what you consider flaws. What it means is you're overcoming those, and you're focusing more, you're placing more energy and more focus on the positive points. Like, look at me, look at my eyes, right? I'm blind, I'm half blind. I can't see out of this eye. It's my real eye, which is why it's all off in Oshkosh. I think about it all the time, right? It took me a long time to do video because I'm wondering what people were going to think is wrong with me with the way my eyes are. And you can see, now that I've mentioned it, you'll never forget it. You'll see it all the time. I've been in, conferences and big meetings, or people raise their hands with questions, and I point to them, and they just, they don't know who I'm pointing at. And I'll laugh, and I'll say, oh, yeah, you right there. Then they feel terrible. But they shouldn't, I get it. But that's something that is like a flaw in me that I readily see every day. Every time I get in front of a camera, I see it. Every time I stand in front of a mirror, I see it. It used to control me more than I wouldn't do any video. Well, how long have I been doing videos? Like a year? So this is something that I've been able to really start to put behind me, and I'm 56. Frank, I get it. Yeah. I mean, it's the way it is. I mean, I don't talk about it. I don't harp on it. I don't do that. But, if you look at all my online photos and stuff, I fixed the eye in Photoshop, because those are old images. Like years ago, I would do, oh my God, I got to fix that. They're going to be like, who's this crazy person? But I was over-focused on what's missing, under-focused on what is present. Right? What's present? Well, I've got some unique capacities for doing certain things, right? But was I focusing on that? Absolutely not. Why? Because the bad news always makes the front page. And when you read it, the good news is gone, no matter what it is. Okay? That's the way we think. If I asked you to come up with some super positive things that could happen to you in the next week, you'd be sitting here and thinking, gee, what? But if I said, what are some bad things that could happen to you this week? I bet you could rattle them off all day. That's just the way we are as people. It's how our brains function. All right? It keeps us safe, to be honest with you. It's actually a limbic-driven resource that keeps us from getting into danger. So we think about what could go wrong. This happens in the limbic system, right? Oh, that's a snake. Before it, we think it's a garden hose. And so that's just how we are. But I'm trying to encourage you to stop doing it, or to know that you do it and work towards not doing it to the best of your ability. That's all I'm saying. Because if you don't, you'll go through people like clothing. Because what you're looking for doesn't exist. You've got to just be happy with the car you're driving, period. You got to get over that stuff. You got to embrace your weaknesses. Think of a battery, positive and negative. Who goes out in the morning and breaks the negative post off their car battery so the car runs better? Once my battery's all positive, this car's going to scream, right? It ain't going to run at all. It's not going to run at all. It'll sit there like, what's wrong with my car? Well, you tried to get rid of the negative things, right? It doesn't work. So negative and positive are natural to life. We have to have it. You might as well like it. I told this woman yesterday, you need to find time to wrap yourself in your own arms and give yourself a big wet kiss and say, welcome to Earth. I really love you. And she didn't know what to make of it. She didn't even know what to think. And she said, you are so right. I keep looking at what's missing and what needs to be improved. And I'm thinking, getting with this person may help improve this. Well, that's not working, clearly. It's clearly not working. We want to share the life we have. We want to share the person we are with the people around us. Not try to imagine what they think we should be and then try to somehow go to acting school and become that so that we can warm up to this person. That's insanity. So basically, I wanted to show you something else about this report. Now, look at the bottom set of graphs in this report, and you tell me which line is the tallest, which bar is the tallest, right? And so if you look at that, it says ambition, right? Ambition. So this is about intrinsic, which is your own self-value. Extrinsic, this is about basically role awareness and role satisfaction. What is your role? Are you a mom? Are you a wife? Are you a husband, a father? Are you a manager? Are you a grocery store worker? Are you a gas attendant? Are you a fisherman? What are you? What's going on? So we all play parts. We all have a lead part in our life play. I'm a dad. That's a lead role. I'm a father. That's a lead. Well, that's the same thing. So dad and father say, those are lead roles, right? Dad, father, that's a lead role. Husband, that's a lead role. Analyst, that's a lead role because I don't have a bunch of employees. So in that regard, that's a lead role. Driving somebody to the airport, not really a lead role. But it's something I'm doing in that moment. So when I'm done, I don't feel like a driver for the rest of the week, okay? But I always feel like a father. I always feel like a husband. And I always feel like a consultant, okay? So those are lead roles. So, and then the final thing is our future concept, all right? The future concept is where you see yourself in, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Where do you see yourself when you look at your future self? Now, if you look at this graph, this person's coming in at basically 85% positive when it comes to their future self. But when it comes to their personal self, they're 75% negative. So what does that mean? It means They only think of themselves positively when they think of themselves down the road. They're only thinking positive about themselves when they think about where they're going to be. But they think negative when they think of where they already are. That is bad. All right? That's a problem. You can't get to where you're going if you're not happy with the car you're in that's going to get you there. That's not going to work. But no one's thinking this. They're not figuring this out. They're just going through life, going to work, paying the bills, right? All that jazz. And so the important thing you need to understand is you've got to be just as enlightened and satisfied with your current self as you are with your future self. Or else you're going to get to the future and yourself hasn't changed because you haven't been looking at it, because every day is a present day. Tomorrow will be another present day. Are you looking at yourself? No, you're looking at the next day. You're looking at you at the end of the week. Well, when you get to the end of the week, is you finally into the future? No, you just entered the present. You entered the present, and what are you doing? You're thinking of yourself on Monday. If you do this, you never catch yourself, ever. You're out there, you're never there, you're dissatisfied, you're unhappy, and then you try to fill that vacuum with all kinds of crap. And it doesn't work. So you need to realize that the day you embrace where you are, who you are, how you think, and what you believe for what it is, and be willing and open for change, but this is it, and I'm gonna embrace it, then you're no longer over-focused on the future. You are now focused on the present, which is what gets you to the future. And this is what people need to understand. I think we're done with that. I got that out of my system. All right, I got it out. You can see this person when it comes to their role. Not very happy, right? Negative self, negative role, positive future. One of these days, and we're not talking about Alice, right? One of these days, I will be the person I'm striving to be. Who can hook their horse up to my cart and help me get there? How about nobody? How about just you? Just you. So embrace you, love you, be content with you, and if you do, and this takes time. It's a process, right? It takes time. It might take you 2 to 3 years, 18 months, right? It's not going to happen tonight. But you got to be willing to allow that process to begin. And when you do, your life will be seasoned with very sweet spices. So that's all I'm going to do today, because I got some stuff I got to do. I really got myself worked up on this one. So anyway, good. I'm glad you're on here. I see 5 people here. I got 2 thumbs up. That's awesome. Share the video. I really appreciate it when you do. Who do you know besides yourself that could use a dose of this, right? Sometimes I'll go back and watch my own videos. I do that. And it's not because I'm thinking I'm all that. It's because I've read my own books and cried, for heaven's sakes. So, I'm just as much a piece of work as anybody else is. But what is the difference? Probably I know it. A lot of people don't know, right? They don't know. But it's so important. It's so important. And when you are emotionally stable, when you're stable in yourself, then you're positioned to help other people. When you are not stable in yourself, you're destabilized. It's like reaching down off from standing on a table and trying to lift up another person. What happens? They pull you right off the table. Because we got to be stabilized. We got to be stabilized in who we are, and that takes positive intrinsic value. That's what it takes. And I'm telling you, it's life-changing. So that's my my message for today. You can visit Steve Sisler, YouTube, Steve Sisler or Steven Sisler. I think it's Steven Sisler on YouTube. And listen, if you're interested in going through I'm telling you right now, world-class personality, behavioral, axiological, motivational, orientation, all of it. You want to go through that with yours truly, reading your mail for you and helping you understand how you're wired. I'll tell you right now, it's not the cheapest thing you're going to do, but it is the best thing you will do. Trust me. And we've got thousands of people that would attest to that. Anyway, there you have it. Have a great week. I trust you'll do well and take this to heart. Make a change. Have a good one.